Friday, October 10th, 2025. Welcome to the News El Salvador SV podcast. This is a space for conversation and reflection where we explore current topics from El Salvador and the world together. Look for this podcast. We are on all possible platforms. Collaborate via PayPal. You will find the link in the description of this podcast's content. You can now donate using your Satoshis. 1,000 Satoshis are a little more than $1. You will find the Bitcoin QR code on the cover of this content. Remember, 1, 2, 3 Satoshis, or as many as you like, make a difference to keep us on the platforms that host this podcast. Your donations will be greatly appreciated. Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here today, October 10th, 2025, to really get you up to speed on the key stories shaping our world, both nationally and internationally.
Yeah, it's not just about the headline.
Exactly. We want to give you the context, the names, the events that actually matter right now. Think of this as your direct line to being, properly informed.
And it's quite a day for it. There's a lot happening. We've got major international political drama, serious domestic security operations, even weather emergencies causing trouble.
It's a full plate. So where do we start? What's the story that just immediately jumps out with the biggest sort of global reaction?
Well, I think you have to look at the Nobel Peace Prize announcement. That's really ignited a firestorm.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay, yeah, let's unpack that right away. Because the award itself is significant, but the reaction, that's taken it to another level. So the winner is Venezuelan opposition leader María Corina Machado.
Right. And this isn't just a pat on the back. It's a huge diplomatic statement. The committee No Regalo del Nobel, they were very clear about why.
What was their rationale?
They specifically mentioned her role in, and I quote, keeping the flame of democracy alive in the face of growing darkness in Venezuela. Giving it to her, that lends enormous global legitimacy to the opposition movement.
And maybe some protection, too?
Potentially, yes. It raises her profile significantly. Her reaction when she heard the news was apparently very emotional. Just, Dios mío, no tengo palabras. My God, I have no words.
You can imagine, after such a long struggle. But like you said, the controversy really exploded because of President Donald Trump's reaction.
Absolutely. It was quite a performance, actually. Even before the announcement, he was predicting he wouldn't get it.
Right, saying it would go to someone who did absolutely nothing, setting the stage, basically.
Exactly. So when Machado's name came out, the backlash was immediate. He insisted he deserved it.
And he listed his reasons, didn't he? A whole string of conflicts he claimed to have ended.
Oh yeah, quite the list. He called them 7 endless wars. He started with efforts between Cambodia and Thailand, then Kosovo and Serbia.
Okay.
Then, and this is a big one, he claimed success in mediating the conflict between the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda. He specifically cited it as a 31-year conflict with 10 million deaths.
10 million. That's
Right.
resolving something like that would surely be Nobel-worthy, wouldn't it? If verified.
Absolutely. If verified and sustained. That's the key. Ending a conflict that complex with that kind of death toll. Well, let's just say there's considerable skepticism about whether it's truly ended in the way implied.
Right. What else was on his list?
He also mentioned efforts between Pakistan and India, Israel and Iran, Egypt and Ethiopia, and Armenia and Azerbaijan.
So a huge range of diplomatic activity claimed within, his term?
Essentially, yes. He wrapped it up by saying not getting the award would be a great insult for the country, framing it as a slight against American efforts, not just him personally.
Interesting framing. And the White House backed him up?
They did. Stephen Chung, the director of communications, came out swinging. He directly accused the committee of prioritizing politics over peace.
Politics over peace. That's a strong charge.
Very strong. Chung went on to defend the president, saying Trump will continue achieving peace agreements, ending wars, and saving lives. And he praised Trump's humanitarian heart.
So the official line is that the committee is politically motivated against Trump?
That's the clear message they're sending. It just shows how incredibly politicized even something like the Nobel Peace Prize has become. Hashtag 1.2, regional political turmoil and international conflicts.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit regionally. There was some incredibly fast political movement in Peru.
Yeah, incredibly fast. The Congress there basically fast-tracked the removal of President Dina Boluarte.
Destitution, right. That sounds pretty final.
It is. And they immediately named Jose Geriore as the interim president. It just highlights the ongoing political instability Peru's been facing for years now. One leader out, another one in, very quickly.
Right. And further north, things are heating up between Venezuela and the U.S.
Definitely. Venezuela is asking for an urgent meeting with the UN Security Council. They're citing what they call a grave escalation of aggression and the unprecedented U.S. military deployment in the Caribbean.
Unprecedented deployment, what does that actually mean on the ground usually? More ships, more surveillance?
It could be a mix of things. Maybe increased naval patrols near their waters, more surveillance flights, movement of specific military assets. Washington likely sees it as projecting stability, but Caracas clearly sees it as a threat.
And Venezuela's pushing back.
Very directly. Their Strategic Operational Command, the CEOFANB, put out a video message. It was actually in English, aimed straight at the U.S.
Really? What did it say?
The key phrase was, "For Venezuela integrated to win." They're making it clear their defense systems are active and ready. It's quite confrontational.
Wow. Okay, meanwhile, across the ocean, the war in Ukraine continues. What's the latest there?
More brutal attacks, unfortunately. Russia launched a massive attack, specifically targeting power plants in Kyiv.
Aiming for the grid again.
Seems like it. Reports say more than half the capital lost electricity. And they detected over 100 Russian drones in Ukrainian airspace during this wave. It's a clear strategy to hit critical infrastructure, especially with winter approaching.
Just devastating. And a couple of other quick points on the global front.
Yeah, two things. First, in Ecuador, the Minister of Environment and Energy, Inés Manzano, reported a possible assassination attempt against President Daniel Noboa.
What happened?
There was an attack on his motorcade. She filed a formal complaint about it. It just underlines the security risks leaders face in the region.
Definitely. And the second point?
Back to President Trump. He apparently suggested that Spain maybe should be expelled from NATO.
Expelled? Why?
For not meeting its military spending targets. It's a familiar theme from him pressuring allies on defense spending, sometimes using the threat of questioning their place in the alliance.
Right, but very direct, maybe disruptive approach to alliances.
Okay, let's bring it home to El Salvador. Domestically, the big focus seems to be on digital crime, with this operation called Escudo Virtual.
That's right. This is the second phase of a joint operation between the FGR, the Attorney General's office, and the PNC, National Civil Police. And the scale's pretty significant.
How so?
Well, they issued 51 capture orders, but that came after receiving over 2,000 denunces, formal complaints, just in late September. 2,000 complaints in just a few weeks. That suggests this network was widespread.
Extremely widespread. They were clearly hitting a lot of people.
So how did they do it? What was their method?
It was quite sophisticated, actually. They used common platforms, Facebook, WhatsApp, but their techniques were varied.
Like what?
Things like money laundering, setting up fake job offers, often as collections managers using fake websites that seem legit. And they also did impersonation scams.
Pretending to be family members.
Exactly. Promising to send merchandise, maybe expensive items, things that never actually arrived. They played on trust and urgency.
And the financial damage, do we have a figure?
The authorities estimate the total amount stolen is around $215,000.
Wow. That's a serious amount, especially for individuals being defrauded.
Absolutely. It represents real harm to thousands of victims. And the way they handled the money shows a level of planning, too.
How did they launder it? This is where it gets tricky, right?
Very tricky. They used standard electronic bank transfers initially, but the key step was quickly converting the stolen funds into crypto assets.
So Bitcoin or something similar.
Could be Bitcoin, could be other cryptocurrencies, stable coins. They moved it into various digital wallets. This makes tracing the money trail incredibly difficult for law enforcement compared to traditional bank transfers. It basically vanishes into the global crypto network.
Creating a digital smokescreen. So who are the people running this? Was it just a local group?
No, and that points to the organization involved. The captures included a Colombian national, a Mexican national, and the rest were Salvadorans.
So an international element.
Right. It suggests a structured network, possibly with specialized roles, people managing the scams, people handling the money, maybe recruiters.
The authorities released quite a few names, didn't they?
They did. Gloria Alejandra Ramirez de Perez, Josue Alejandro Teodoro Arevalo, Jonathan Alexander Perez, Kevin Ed Nilsson, Benitez Lopez, Herbert Omar Leber Manzano, Hugo Alexander Diaz Arezzo. Also, Limnia Dai Oriana Flores, Jose Adelber Oriana Escobar, Jonathan Bryan, Alvarenga Vasquez, Diego Ernesto Garcia, Christian Gabriel Guzman, David Stanley Guzman, Juan Francisco Velasquez, and Ezequiel Antonio Chavez Moran.
That's a long list. It really underlines the scope.
And some of them were already in prison on other charges. They're just being notified about these new charges related to Escudo Virtual.
And what about evidence? What did they seize?
Things you'd expect for a digital operation. 16 phones, 4 laptops, 6 debit cards, a savings book, 4 USB drives, a computer tower, CPU, and a hard drive. All crucial for forensic analysis now. Hashtag tag 2.2 noteworthy criminal cases and legal actions.
Beyond that big fraud bust, there were some other quite unusual criminal cases highlighted today.
Yeah, one is particularly strange. It involves people posing as government veterinarians.
Posing as vets? Why?
The case involves Jose Edgardo Carmen Mejia and Erica Carlo Juarez. They were arrested for allegedly pretending to be vets from MARN, the Ministry of Environment. Their alleged scheme was to steal wild animals and then try to extort people by promising to return the animals for money.
Wow, that's brazen. Stealing wildlife and then extorting.
Very predatory, and impersonating officials adds another layer of seriousness.
There's a story that sounds incredibly distressing about deported Salvadorans disappearing.
Yes, this is a deeply concerning human rights issue. Families are reporting that 6 Salvadorans who were deported back from the U.S. have essentially vanished.
Vanished where? What do the families suspect?
The fear is that they're being held in prisons or detention centers here in El Salvador, but the families haven't received any official confirmation, no information about their location or status. It's like they've disappeared into the system.
That's terrifying for the families. Is there a specific case mentioned?
Yes, the story of a young man named Irvin. He's 24. He was deported in March. His family actually moved back to El Salvador after 9 years in the U.S., specifically to find him.
They came back just to search for him.
That's the report. And they still haven't found him or received clear information. It raises serious questions about transparency and process once deportees arrive back in the country.
A terrible situation. Okay, shifting to a high-profile legal case, Catalina Miranda, the transport executive. What's the latest there?
His legal troubles continue. He's now facing 5 charges and looking at potentially 12,272 days in prison.
And this all stemmed from that fare hike back in 2022, right? When President Bukele warned him.
Exactly. That incident where he raised bus fares and got that public warning from the president not to play with fire seems to be the origin of these ongoing legal actions. It certainly set a precedent.
Right. And on the other side of migration issues, a conviction for a human trafficker.
Yes. A coyote, as they're known, was sentenced to 10 years in prison. This was for illegally transporting 24 undocumented people heading towards the U.S. as part of the ongoing crackdown on smuggling networks.
And the anti-gang operations continue as well, both here and abroad.
Relentlessly, it seems. They captured and repatriated a palabrero, a leader or shot caller for the 18 Sureños gang. He was wanted for aggravated homicides.
Repatriated from where?
The report doesn't specify where he was captured abroad, just that he was brought back. Separately, they caught another 18 Sureños member, Ricardo Antonio Mendoza Agreda, alias Chino, down in Chiapas, Mexico.
So cross-border cooperation there.
Seems so. And domestically, they arrested an MS gang member known as Manteca, who was reportedly threatening people using gang signs. Consistent pressure on the gang structures.
Okay, let's talk about the weather. The rainy season is hitting hard, and Protection Civil has been busy.
Very busy. Luis Alonso Amaya, the Director General, reported a total of 65 incidents across the country just in the last 24 hours due to the rains.
65? What kinds of incidents are we talking about mostly?
Fallen trees were the big one. 31 incidents, nearly half the total. That points to saturated ground, maybe some erosion issues.
Definitely a hazard.
Yeah.
What else?
There were also 9 landslides reported, 2 rivers overflowing their banks, and 1 case of a damaged perimeter wall.
And those fallen trees, they're not just inconvenient, they can be dangerous with power lines, right?
Exactly. That's why Director Maya specifically warned the public not to try and clear fallen trees themselves. The risk of hitting live electrical lines is just too high. Leave it to the professionals. The national alert system, the Alerta Estratificada, is still active.
It sounds like Santa Ana got hit particularly hard by these rains.
Yes, Santa Ana Centro seems to have been the epicenter. Mayor Gustavo Acevedo had to activate municipal crews, bring in heavy machinery pretty quickly for cleanup and repairs.
Were there specific rescues or major incidents there?
There were. The fire department, the Cuerpo de Bomberos, had to rescue people who were trapped in a flooded car at a major intersection, 25 Calle Poniente and 14 Avenida.
Wow, trapped in their car.
Yeah, flash flooding can rise incredibly fast. They also had a big operation removing a large fallen tree in the El Colón area on 17 Calle Poniente, which blocked traffic.
And infrastructure damage, too.
Yes. Fovio, the Road Conservation Fund, had to step in to repair a section of 39 Calle Poniente near the Oscar Quiteño Stadium. The road surface was badly damaged by the water. Authorities issued warnings about street closures and damaged roads in the area.
And did the weather contribute to accidents as well?
It seems likely. There were some serious traffic accidents reported in the Santa Ana vicinity. One involved a car getting trapped underneath a large truck, a furgon, on the road towards Chachuapa near Ciudad Real.
That sounds awful.
Yeah, very dangerous. And another accident on the same road, the Santa Ana Chachuapa Highway near Tomza, left a 39-year-old man injured. He had to be taken to hospital San Juan de Dios by Cruz Verde. Hashtag tag 3.33. Other major emergencies and fatalities.
Were there evacuations needed elsewhere in the country?
Yes, the commandos de Elemento, specifically the teams from Guazapa and Aguilares, had to evacuate several families. This was in Caserío Rodeo in Canton Zacamil, where the heavy rains posed a direct threat to their homes.
Good that they got them out, but sadly the commandos are also dealing with a loss within their own ranks.
Yes, tragically. They announced they're mourning the irreparable loss of Yanira Imelda Ortiz de Rivera. She was a 45-year-old volunteer who passed away due to health problems. A tough blow for the organization.
Absolutely. And more bad news from the roads, unfortunately. Some very serious incidents.
Yes, really tragic ones. A traffic agent from the VMT, a jester, was killed. He was run over while on duty in Comalapa managing traffic.
No, just doing his job.
Exactly. And then there was a major collision on the highway between Sonsonate and Acayutla at kilometer 73.
What happened there?
It was a triple collision, apparently caused by a large truck, a Rastra, maneuvering. 6 people were injured, including 2 children. Thankfully, reports say they were all stable after being treated.
Still frightening. And one more strange traffic incident.
Yeah, quite unusual. A furgon hit and killed 6 cows on the Carrera del Lidoral in Yusulutan, near San Ramon Canton.
6 cows, that must have caused chaos.
Absolute traffic chaos, besides the obvious tragedy for the animals and likely the owner. Clearing that kind of obstruction takes time.
And finally, on infrastructure, that problematic road connecting to Guatemala. Any update?
Still no firm date, unfortunately. The road at kilometer 24.5, which links Guatemala and El Salvador, remains closed after that major landslide. It's a significant disruption for trade and travel between the two countries, and there's no clear timeline yet for reopening.
Right, that bottleneck continues.
Remember, if you want to help us pay for the platforms hosting this content and the materials for this podcast, or buy us a coffee, you can do so via PayPal. You will find a link in the description of this podcast's content, or through your Satoshis from any cryptocurrency wallet. You will find a Bitcoin QR code on the cover of this content. Scan it with any cryptocurrency wallet and send the Satoshis you deem appropriate, which will be a great help. Hashtag tag 4, national economy, transport, and social policy.
Okay, let's pivot now to the national economy and some key policy areas. There's a fiscal measure being proposed by the government.
Yes, they're floating the idea of a 60-day fiscal amnesty. Specifically, this would apply to interest and penalty surcharges on unpaid taxes.
So basically, pay the principal tax you owe, and we'll waive the extra fees for a limited time.
That's the idea. It's a way to encourage people and businesses to catch up on their tax obligations and brings in some immediate revenue for the government coffers.
Makes sense. And the Minister of Labor is trying to highlight good business practices.
That's right. Orlando Castro, the Minister of Trabajo, is inviting companies to apply for the National Prize for Decent Work, the Premio Nacional al Trabajo Decente 2025.
What's the aim of that award?
It's about giving recognition, both here and internationally, to companies that really excel in their labor practices, treating employees well, following the law, creating a good work environment, kind of promoting best practices through positive reinforcement.
And support for smaller businesses, too.
Yes. Economy Pari, the Commission for Micro and Small Enterprises, held a forum. It was focused on helping over 100 micro-enterprises figure out how to break into international markets.
Taking local businesses global.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Expanding their reach. And alongside that, there's the ongoing push for customs modernization, which is seen as key to making trade faster and boosting the country's overall competitiveness. Hashtag 4.2 transportation sector crisis.
Now, one area that seems to be facing a real crisis is public transportation.
It really does seem like a critical moment. While the government has approved new tariffs for about 10 specific bus routes in different departments.
San Salvador, La Libertad, San Miguel included.
Yes, those areas. But the bigger picture is worrying. Transport operators are sounding the alarm.
What are they saying?
They're actually selling off buses online and warning that over 1,700 units won't be renewed by the end of this year or early next year.
1,700 buses. How significant is that?
It's about 11% of the entire public transport fleet. That's a huge chunk.
And why aren't they renewing them? Is it just costs?
That's the main reason they're citing. Rising costs for fuel, maintenance, and especially the high cost of buying new buses to replace the old ones. They argue the current fare structure just doesn't make it financially viable.
An 11% reduction in buses. That would have a massive impact on commuters, wouldn't it?
Huge. Think about overcrowding. Much longer wait times, serious disruptions to daily life, especially for people relying on buses to get to work or school. It's a potential crisis brewing.
And wasn't there supposed to be a delivery of new buses from China to help with this?
Yes, but the arrival date for those buses, managed by the Ministry of Public Works, MOP, has reportedly been postponed.
So the old buses are going out and the new ones are delayed.
Exactly. That delay just makes the potential gap in service even bigger and adds to the uncertainty. Some might say it gives the transport operators more leverage to push for subsidies or higher fares.
Right. And a quick note on enforcement, the VMT cracked down on a TikToker.
Yeah, the microbusero, who is apparently quite popular, he was fined for driving his microbus while live streaming on TikTok.
Driving and streaming.
Seems so. The VMT is making it clear they're monitoring social media for safety violations like distracted driving, even among public transport operators. Hashtag 4.3 social issues and health concerns.
Okay, let's touch on some social and health issues. Concerns have been raised about services at a major hospital.
Yes, personnel at Hospital Rosales are reportedly saying that services there have been reduced.
Why? What's the reason given?
It seems to follow some staff transfers, including medical interns who apparently aren't rotating through the hospital anymore. Since Rosales is such a key national hospital, any reduction in staff or services is obviously a major concern for public healthcare access.
Definitely something to watch. On a more positive note, the First Lady was focusing on children.
Yes, First Lady Gabriela de Bukele was highlighting the importance of play during events for the month of the child, Mes de la Niñez. It's part of a focus on holistic development, recognizing play is vital for learning and growth.
And President Bukele addressed the issue of stray animals.
He did. He specifically requested assistance from experts to find better ways to tackle the problem of animals living on the streets. It's an issue that impacts public health, safety, and animal welfare, so seeking expert advice suggests a move towards a more systematic solution.
Interesting. And finally, a cultural question from a historian.
Yeah, kind of a thought-provoking one. A historian is asking why coffee isn't officially considered the national drink of El Salvador.
Good question, given its history here.
Exactly. Coffee has been so central to the economy and culture for so long. It opens up a discussion about national symbols, traditions, and what defines national identity. Why coffee? Or perhaps why not coffee?
All right, let's switch to sports. The big event everyone's talking about is the football match. La Selecta versus Panama. Huge game for World Cup qualifying, right?
Absolutely critical. The pressure is definitely on. And the coach, Hernan Boleo Gomez, he's been quite vocal leading up to it.
What's he been saying?
Well, he acknowledged both teams desperately need the win, saying the two are with the same need, setting it up as a must-win for both sides.
But he also threw down a bit of a challenge.
He did, trying to maybe puncture any perceived ego from the Panamanians. He said they might have played Champions League, but tomorrow they are Panamanians against Salvadorans.
Kind of a national pride motivator.
Exactly, focusing on the immediate rivalry. And he was very blunt about the objective. We don't come to play pretty, we come to win. Pragmatic approach.
Any worries about player fitness?
The coach mentioned Nathan Ordaz as the only doubt for the lineup. On the other side, Panama made an interesting choice. They decided not to do a training session or familiarize themselves with the pitch at the Cuscatlán Stadium beforehand.
Tactical move. Or maybe mind games.
Could be either, or maybe they just wanted to rest. Who knows? But the fans are certainly getting
A
involved.
serenata.
Yeah, the Bar Azul fan group went to the hotel where the Panamanian team is staying and performed a serenade. Officially, it's for the home team's morale, but everyone knows it's also partly about trying to disrupt the opponent's sleep the night before a big game. Classic football tradition.
And security for the match itself.
It's going to be tight. They've announced a major security plan with 4 rings of security checkpoints around the stadium. And the rule about no alcohol sales or access for La Selecta matches is strictly in place, trying to keep things safe and orderly. #5.2 cultural highlights.
Okay, away from the football pitch, some positive cultural news. The Jocote Corona Festival seems to be doing well.
Yes, the Feria del Jocote Corona 2025 up at Cerro Verde is reportedly drawing good crowds, both locals and tourists, including international visitors. It's a celebration of the specific Jocote Corona fruit, but also a boost for local entrepreneurs and families.
That connects to a broader story about tourism revival in certain areas, doesn't it?
It does, particularly in the district of Apaneca. This area used to have significant problems with gang control, making tourism difficult.
But it's changing.
Apparently so. With improved security, Apaneca is now actively promoting itself as a destination. They're highlighting nature tourism, their local food, the colonial architecture, and even things like birdwatching tours. It's a tangible example of how increased safety can help local economies rebound.
That's great to hear. And finally, a cool scientific discovery from Argentina.
Yeah, this is pretty exciting for paleontologists. Scientists from Comisay, during an expedition called Expedition Cretaceca I in Rio Negro province, found a dinosaur egg.
Okay, dinosaur eggs aren't unheard of, are they?
No, but this one is apparently exceptionally well preserved. It's from a carnivorous dinosaur, possibly something like a Bonapartenicus, which was a small feathered type. The lead scientist said it looked almost like a modern bird egg because it was in such good condition.
Wow, so what can they learn from that?
A well-preserved egg like that can offer amazing insights into the dinosaur's reproductive biology, nesting behavior, and the environment it lived in millions of years ago. A really valuable find. #Tag6, synthesis and final thoughts. So if we try to pull together the threads from today, October 10th, 2025, it really feels like a day defined by volatility, both political and environmental.
Yeah, instability seems like a key word.
Right. You have the Nobel Prize drama causing international ripples, the swift political change in Peru, the ongoing tensions with Venezuela and in Ukraine. That's the global picture.
And here at home?
Here you have the direct impact of the environment, the heavy rains causing dozens of incidents needing immediate response. And then there's this constant battle against complex challenges, whether it's the sophisticated digital fraud network behind Escudo Virtual or the looming crisis in public transport with those 1,700 buses potentially going offline. It demands resilience, doesn't it?
It really does. For me, the stories that really stand out today are, first, the level of detail we got on that Escudo Virtual bus, actually naming the suspects, understanding their methods, the crypto laundering angle. It puts a face on digital crime. And second, just the sheer drama surrounding the Nobel Prize, María Corina Machado's win, her reaction, and then the very pointed, very political pushback from the White House. It encapsulates so much about current geopolitics.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But underlying all the specific news items, that issue of the disappeared deportees, that sticks with you.
It does. Which leads us to our final thought for you, our listeners. We hear about major security successes like the gang arrests and the fraud bust. But then we hear these recurring, heartbreaking stories about deported Salvadorans vanishing upon return, people like Irvin, whose family came back just to find him and still can't.
So the question is this. Given these recurring disappearances, what concrete, centralized steps could the state realistically take right now to create a transparent, mandatory system? A system that tracks deportees upon arrival and ensures families who've often endured years of separation already can actually get reliable information about their loved ones' whereabouts here in El Salvador. How do you bridge that information gap and provide accountability? Something to think about.
Your contributions help us. 1,000 Satoshis are equivalent to a little more than $1. You can make your contribution. The Bitcoin QR code to scan is found only on the cover of this content, or via PayPal, you will find the username in the description of this content. Your contributions, however minimal, help us stay connected on this network. It might be that 1 or 2 Satoshis are what's needed to complete the payment for these platforms. Follow us, share, and comment. Thank you for listening. We are News El Salvador SV. Share this content and recommend it to your friends. We make it very special for you. Greetings to all. Until next time.